Welcome everyone to the PIPCAST 3000, a gaming-oriented podcast where we talk about Fallout, the Elder Scrolls, and all kinds of other stuff. And, news topics involving gaming and the types of mediums that we're into. And here I am joined by my wonderful co-host, BADCompanySarge.
Hi there.
And as you should know, at this point, I am Caedo. And we're going to talk for a little bit about these cool things. But first, the cool things that I haven't even listed yet. But first
they're on the screen.
We're going to mention the...
You know what? I've got a high enough opinion of our audience, but they can probably read.
Yeah.
I don't want to overstate things too much, but you lot out there, pretty impressive skill set of being able to read stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Feel good for you about yourself and things.
And also, if you didn't notice, I took out the intro animation because it would actually, add more time to the project of actually trying to make this. So I just took it out. Because all the timestamps of the topics, I have to add 8 seconds to each because of the intro. So I have to take down the timestamps and then add the numbers to them. But instead, I just took out the intro, and now I don't have to do that step. So that's why. And the people in the podcast are credited on top anyway, so it's not, a huge a huge step in the wrong direction. I just like the intro that I used.
Yeah,
but
it's a nice little intro.
I'm kind of phasing
in a couple of my videos now.
Really?
Yeah, I had it in my end of year video. You didn't watch my end of year video, did you?
I thought I did.
I talked about the PIPCAST and everything in it. I was like, PIPCAST with Caedo, check out Caedo.
I thought I did. I can't remember. There's a lot of things that happened this last month. Anyway, the tip of the day, Sarge, what is the tip of the day?
The tip of the day is to take a break.
Yes, that both of us have either been forced to do or have decided to do.
Yeah. It's important to not just constantly, day in, day out, be going, cool, I'm going to get this done, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do that. And this applies to both gaming and real life. Because, as well as, having to work a standard job, which lots of you are obviously doing, if you then force yourself to game on top of that, that can be a problem. But also just for forcing yourself to work tons of time and never take a day off, it's not going to go well either. So when you can, take a break. You don't need to rush everything. It's okay.
Yes. And make sure you do give yourself breaks, because burnout is a thing too that I was dealing with last month. And Sarge discussed it in his taking a break video, which I did watch, that December is the best month for creating content. And if you want to have a decent revenue stream during that time. And I actually slowed way down because I was already burnt out by the end of November into December. Or starting to peter out, run out of fuel. So it's good to get yourself to take a break. This year for me personally has been more of a push myself as much as I can because I'm naturally a lazy person. But now I've learned, how far I can go before I start losing momentum again just due to burnout. So that's what I learned. Speaking of New Year's goals, I guess.
Yeah. And I learned that when I'm doing stuff I kind of enjoy, I will literally work myself to death if I don't force myself to stop.
Yeah.
So, take a break.
That's a possibility too. So happy 2020, everybody. I don't know if we mentioned that at all. It's the new year or the new decade. Also, yeah. And we don't have that much news-wise to talk about. This might be a shorter one. We might be a little ranty though, which we'll probably
we can rant our way up to the 2-hour mark, most likely.
A little bit, but I also still feel kind of lazy and don't want too much to edit. Anyway,
well, in which case, I'm cracking open an energy drink. It's gonna be.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
No, we're gonna just power for everything.
All right. Our news topics are firstly wishing you a happy 2020 and all that good stuff. And then we talk about the Witcher Netflix series. It is all over the internet right now. And the resurgence of The Witcher 3. We're going to mention Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which is something I'm excited for, and it's coming out this week for PC. We're looking at a couple 76 topics. It's a look back, their post on a look back on 2019, and the Inside the Vault for Watoga Underground, which is going to be introduced in Wastelanders, I believe.
Yep.
And IGN's review scale change that they're doing. Shirley Curry, the Skyrim grandma. There is now a Skyrim mod. or Skyrim mod in the works with her as a companion, which is pretty great. And then rounding it off with Amazon's New World MMO on our radar. And it's just something that I saw during the Game Awards that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And then, if you didn't know, we also have a Fallout topic, or a topic related to the things that we like playing and like doing. And this one is about crafting, and how important crafting is to the Fallout series, and different ways crafting has been implemented. And that pretty much rounds off what we're going to be talking about today. Let me reiterate, happy 2020, everybody. I hope if you've made some goals, I hope you stick with them. I hope you get them, as long as they're healthy, of course.
Oh yeah, I'm sure everyone's making goals to smoke 50 a day and just eat chocolate cake for hours on end.
Well, it could be one of those, like I'm gonna do something that damages me, but I'm gonna feel good about it. Like, people can make some backwards goals sometimes. That I've been capable of that.
Okay.
Like, I used to be a smoker, so like, you know, I'm
guessing you didn't take up smoking as a New Year's resolution, though.
No, I didn't. But there were things involving smoking, like treating it as a reward system or something like that. Like, addictions can do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, take care of yourselves this year, and I hope your goals are follow through if they're good and ultimately help you. That's all. I don't know if you wanted to say anything about 2020.
It's a year.
Yep.
Turns out they keep on happening.
Mm-hmm.
I apologise. I'm not one of these people that's really like, oh yeah, New Year's was like. To be fair, I've started exercising since the New Year, but that's more coincidence than a resolution.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you're gonna do something, don't like worry about it being a New Year's resolution. Just start doing it.
Yeah, I for one believe that too, but I think also everybody wants that extra pressure to get themselves moving sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is why people make New Year's resolutions like a thing to begin with. Where and then that 1 month mark is really what tells you like whether or not this was just a fun little little test, or if you're actually going to follow through with it. So
yeah,
we will see. I had no immediate goals myself this year, which is unusual because I have in the past. It's more, I've already discovered like what is helping my channel more than hurting it, and
yeah.
I watched back I think it was an old Stream Archive or old New Vegas Let's Play episode, and and I was answering a question related to what I'm gonna do when I hit 100k subscribers, and this was like 2 years ago.
Oh jeez.
And my answer was about the same, because around that time my channel was still plateauing from like 60k till now, or till like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So my answer was, I don't know. Because I didn't see it, picking up momentum anytime soon while I was doing that series, because nothing else was like grabbing new people via the algorithm, whereas now with the new games that I've been covering and the list type videos and stuff like that have been really helping. It's very interesting now having that momentum and having to maintain it. But instead lowering the amount of videos that I'm doing, but making them something that, of course, the algorithm and the audience picks up on more so than just mass producing like Let's Play stuff, because it was not at all something that was being watched.
See, now I've checked my analytics recently, and what you say is in theory what I thought I should do before I checked my analytics. Then I checked which videos get recommended and stuff, and it's so random. Like, the stupid Let's Play style and the quick stuff I sometimes do will often outperform the videos that are designed to get picked up by like tenfold, and it can be a bit of a pain.
So yours is still kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, like me getting drunk and building a camp was like my third most viewed video last year.
What was the title on it?
It was Building the Perfect Camp Part 1. So, title was good, thumbnail was decent, like, it had potential to grow, but, okay, I'm gonna check it now.
Did you have, like, while drunk in parentheses there at all?
No, nothing like that. In fact, in the first video, I don't think I was quite drunk yet. It wasn't until, like, the second or third one that I got plastered. No, if I check it, 59,883 views it's got, which is ridiculous. It's like, it's in my top 20 videos.
Yeah, when does this come out?
It came out it was published on the 16th of June.
Last year.
No, 2020, obviously. It's a future video with almost 60,000 views already, Caedo. Of course it was last year.
I'm just checking because I was mentioning 2018, so...
2018 was past, man. Move on from it. We're in 2020 now.
I would move on if people were watching my newer stuff more so than the Daedric Artifacts Guide and the New Vegas Uniques. I just got to remaster those. I think that's what's got to happen.
I've been tempted to take a page out of Fudge Muppet's book, where they remastered a bunch of their old like Skyrim and Fallout builds that they first made up a channel, and I'm like, I could literally do the exact same thing because a lot of my early ones are only at 720p. If I made them like 1080p or even 4K, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm sometimes envious of them too, like that they're an actual like team of 3 instead of just a solo, because. When you have your own channel and nobody else is working alongside you or working for you, you have to do everything, every single aspect. You have to do, recording, the writing, the voiceover, the editing, the voiceover, the editing, the video, the thumbnails, the search engine optimization, the extra. There's other stuff, I'm sure. Graphic design, probably.
Yeah. You can, like, pay people to do stuff if you really wanted to, but unless you're a huge individual person, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we've got complete control. We've not got 2 friends telling us their opinions.
That's true. That is true. That is the advantage. I have... Well, Kite does tell me, like, opinions on things sometimes that I'm doing and whatnot.
I am very much making a joke on that point, because Scott, Michael, and Drew obviously all get on well.
Right.
And they are friends with each other.
Right.
Which is good. Very good for a creative business.
It's the difference between, like, answering for someone and just respecting what they have to say. Because they're not bosses of each other. They're more, like, a team instead of... whereas, like, when Kite has something to say about it, I will take in that feedback and then, act upon it or not,
or completely ignore it.
And
go away.
And nobody's.
Shut up, Kite. You don't know what you're talking about.
Most of the time, nobody's feelings are hurt. I'm a very sensitive person. All right, so after the ranty New Year discussion, how about the Witcher Netflix series? I know you got a lot to say and sing about.
Yeah, so the Witcher Netflix series, it's only like 8 episodes. I mentioned it in my most recent video as well. Like, that's how popular it is. Even when I don't need to talk about it, I talk about it. It's it's very good, the Netflix series. I will say I'm someone who... I never played the original Witcher. I played a tiny bit of Assassin of Kings, and, like, I don't know, maybe 10-20 hours of Wild Hunt? Like, not a significant enough amount for how big the game is. Like, I never completed the story or anything. But there was still enough references and stuff within the series that I was able to catch up on and be like, oh, that's cool, that's good to know and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Netflix series is really good. Henry Cavill does an amazing job, quite frankly.
Oh, for sure.
Pulls it off. Like, I was skeptical of the series from the trailers, but watching it, I'm like, nah. The CGI in places is a bit, but
yeah,
it's fine. You're like, okay, I get what you're going for here. It's obviously not real, like really obviously not real
Yeah.
that this monster exists.
So there was
but-
some like practical effects being used too in some of the stuff.
Yeah. But there are some monsters where you're just like, oh, hello, green screen, how are you today?
Yeah.
But if you're fine with it not being, like, big cinema movie quality,
Right.
then it's not a big deal, really.
And it is-
And there were
it
a lot
is-
of effects that were decent.
Yeah. They were decent, and a lot of it, despite a big chunk being, Geralt's a monster slayer, the overarching story involved more than just that. More like his story, Yennefer's story, and Ciri's story were all kind of the ones that were being focused on.
Yeah.
Yennefer's in particular.
Yeah. And also, obviously, we're not going to be going spoilery so much.
No. I'm
in this,
I'm
'cause-
not. Yeah.
Yeah, you should all watch it for yourself. If you've got Netflix, it's 8 episodes. I think it totals at like 7 or so hours, because I think a few of the episodes are an hour, a few are like 45 minutes. So
I wasn't clocking it because I was just watching until I got tired, and then
I just watched it in a couple of chunks, and I noticed that like the first episode at least was an hour, then the last one was like 45 minutes. So I was like, oh, okay, there's a bit of variation.
Okay.
And I will say I think that's a good thing that they're not going, oh, this is going to be 1 hour per episode, or this is going to be 45 minutes per episode. The fact
Yeah.
that they're... I'm guessing because it is made for Netflix as well, they don't need to worry so much about it fitting into a time slot, so they're not having to pad it out or cut out stuff that
Yeah,
they'd
and that-
rather keep in.
That was nice too. There was one particular moment that seemed like it was definitely padding like the whole series, but it wasn't consistent, which is good. Like I was kind of side watching. Kite was side watching The Witcher when I was watching it, but I was side watching the Chernobyl docuseries
Okay.
while she was watching it. And something I noticed in particular in that series is that moments were way drawn out. Like, you could draw something out for dramatic effect for a little while, but it was like 5 times that
Yeah.
in some moments, and I was like, they're just meeting an hour mark. That's what they're doing. And I don't know. I think you and I kind of pay attention more so to that because of kind of what we do.
Yeah.
Like, because we can call out YouTubers that, especially that like hit that 10-minute mark like on purpose,
yeah.
so they can double up on ad space,
Yeah.
and it's just something that's easily noticeable at this point. But yeah, the Netflix series, watch it. Just keep in mind that the timelines are all over the place each episode, and for each character until the end, basically.
I wasn't paying too much attention to that at the start, so I was a bit confused.
Yeah.
But in the end, I really liked it.
That's the only thing you
I
gotta
like it
know
when
going in.
timelines get messed around with. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind the fact that I wasn't fully aware of it at the beginning. It doesn't help as well, but some of the characters are basically ageless.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, judge it off
can't
of,
tell
oh,
if
this
they're
person
old.
looks older. It's like, oh, here's Geralt at age 30. Oh, it looks identical at age 500.
Is he 70 now? I can't tell.
Yeah. So the obvious indicators you'd get in, like, a kind of real-world show if they swapped between ages has gone away. But
Yeah.
it's still nice, and it all fits together as long as you pay attention to it.
Yep.
So, and
Yep.
because the series has gone so well, that means that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt got a ridiculous boost in sales and hit over 100,000 concurrent users, which
Yeah.
is the peak it's ever got. That's a ridiculous number of people
Yeah,
playing
it is.
at the same time.
Absolutely bonkers. Because this number contains, all of the previous fans. Contains some of all the previous fans, and then the brand new fans that are coming in from the Netflix series.
Yeah.
They basically just siphoned off a whole bunch of new fans by introducing them through a new medium. And like that only happens so many times ever.
Yeah.
because the Netflix series is actually good. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a big aspect of it is we've had plenty of like movies or shows based on games as a
Yeah,
medium.
there's been lots of video game movies.
And they're rarely are they good.
Except for Doom, of course, which is the greatest film of all time.
Rarely are they amazing, kind of thing. Whereas, this Netflix series was much more engaging and story-driven and character-driven, and the acting talent was pretty much on point, which was a big part of it too. I like that first sword fight scene a lot. They did a very good job.
I will say the action scenes as well are well done. Like, I pay super close attention to action scenes because I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to like cinematography and stuff. And like the obvious way to tell the difference between an action scene that's actually happening and an action scene where they just want to pretend they actually know what they're doing is just pay attention to how often it cuts.
Yeah.
If you're actually seeing things flow from one to the next, then the choreography's been done. They've made sure to set it up. They've made sure it's actually professionals doing it who can hit their marks and like bam, 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 hit all of that. If you're watching a bad action scene, it will cut from like one person going
Very
into
often.
a punch, and then the next punch or the next cut, before it even lands, it will be pulling back, and you'll just have shuddery cameras and dark lighting. I hate it.
Yeah, I think in that first Geralt fight scene too, they didn't really cut at all. I explicitly remember like a lot of the camera just moving instead of cuts. If it was all one take, I'd be like,
one take.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like a complete. I think I'm on the same part as you, where he's just like fighting a bunch of people. But it's possibly a one take. They might have put like a hidden cut in somewhere, I suppose. But I have a feeling it might just be a one take with a nice Steadicam going around with behind, where he just fights through a few people. Like, God, is it beautiful?
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be the greatest combat as well. Like, if you watch proper masterful martial artists fighting, then that's obviously more skillful than watching Henry Cavill swing a sword and cut through a few people.
Right.
But because they just stick with it, and you can watch everything take place in the time, it just feels more real.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was good. So, I personally, because of the Witcher Netflix series being so successful, I decided to jump on the bandwagon and make something Witcher related. Because I never did. Because The Witcher 3 came out around the same time as Fallout 4, I believe, right? Or
maybe.
Or a year prior. I don't remember which. which. I jumped in and made a 10 Things I Wish I Knew, kind of like I did with Phoenix Point. And that went out the day we're recording. So I don't know how that's going to perform as of right now, but if you feel like it, and if you're brand new to the series, give a look, because that's who it's, directed towards, is people that are new to the Witcher series. I should have consulted the subreddit though, because there's some things in there that are super useful to know, like the standard walking versus the altered or something like that. It's a setting in your gameplay settings that it makes it less physics-based, less momentum-based, where it's more reactive when you're controlling the game. And apparently that's the issue I had when I first played it. And there's an option to make it more responsive.
Oh, yeah.
So, something I know now that I'm going to change when I start playing again today. And also, Sarge mentioned that the concurrent players are outrageously just higher than release of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is outstanding as well. Releasing it on the Switch obviously helped a lot, and then, of course, this kind of, sent it to the moon or something. So, so you're going to be seeing a lot of Witcher stuff. You didn't mention Toss a Coin to Your Witcher at all. I haven't.
I was trying to hold off, but yeah, they've put a song, which was, there is, I believe, a song in the game called Toss a Coin to Your Witcher, but it's different than the one in the show, which has, the one in the show has, like, proper lyrics, and it's sung, and it's really catchy and good. Like, as a song, it's getting really popular, and I was listening to it right before Caedo when I started recording. It's a great song. And that's another aspect that's sweeping YouTube. That's why it's so, like, all over the place. Because Toss a Coin to Your Witcher is a catchy song in the series.
and people are doing covers of it, and people are playing it on Beat Saber. Like, it's everywhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I found a thing the other day and I said it's Caedo, just like, does go into your witches on Beat Saber, and yeah,
it's modded in, but people are playing it on Beat Saber also. So
yeah.
trying to get all that SEO. Yeah, I added it to my tags, so you know.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I don't know if we had anything else. Go check out the Witcher series. And I think
if you fancy playing The Witcher 3, might as well jump back into it now.
Yeah, it's the perfect time because there's information all over the place right now. I should mention the Monster Hunter World Iceborne release because I feel like I'm probably the only one that really cares.
I have not played Monster Hunter World. I forgot extra stuff happened in the game.
Fun fact, Geralt makes an appearance in Monster Hunter World in one of their DLCs. Free DLCs, mind you. Where you get to hunt a Leshen as Geralt, and then it becomes a actual like 4-person raid kind of thing after that, which is really cool. And anyway, Iceborne, the main expansion for Monster Hunter World that's been out for a few years now, is releasing on PC on January 9th. So Nelsar and myself and Kite were playing a little bit to get back into the groove. It took me a little while because I was used to Witcher controls, and the run, sprint, and dodge buttons are all different between those two games.
Why don't you just remap them?
I didn't feel like it.
Okay, future tip of the day is make sure you've got all your buttons mapped the same way for different games.
I don't want to.
That's what I do. Caedo, it's so much easier in the long run.
Yeah, but if I record it and I want to show people, I don't want them to be confused by my button mapping.
I suppose so. Tell them to remap their buttons.
I told people to use a controller in The Witcher 3
No, don't
thing.
tell them to use a controller. Tell them to remap their buttons. Tell them mouse and keyboard, get good scrub.
No!
GG too easy, Mountain Dew, G full, G
Well,
full, dab.
Well, when you get back from your break, why don't you make your Witcher 3 tips? We
Hey,
can make a
scrubs. I played like barely any of this game, so I know what I'm talking about. I played Gwent for 5 hours because you can't deal with the movement.
Gwent is so much fun, dude.
It is.
I gave that more of a chance this time.
Oh, it's really good.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, Monster Hunter World, if you like hunting monsters, right now they have a promotional type set and stuff like that. I think it's going to be in there forever now, which is the Defender sets, which is what gets you basically up to the point to where you can join Iceborne when it releases. And you have only a few more days. I think it releases a Thursday after the PIPCAST comes out. So if you feel like, doing a boss simulator or playing a boss simulator, because that's basically what Monster Hunter is, it's like The Witcher, but just the hunting. But it's a really fun loop. So if you feel like that's one of the things you enjoy, on PC especially, then join my Discord also, because me and Kite and Nelsar are probably going to be playing it fairly consistently. So if you see us in like the special squad or something like that in voice chat, you'll be able to join if you say something, and we can squad up and hunt some stuff, because hunting is fun. And I didn't really say much about Iceborne. It's a new region entirely with new monsters to slay. That's pretty much it. And there's also new mechanics being added, like the long range grapple and grapple moves.
Ooh, grappling is cool.
But yeah, if you're excited for Monster Hunter World, say what you're excited for down below. Like, and what your weapon main is. I'm Greatsword, usually. I've been using dual weapons because we've been fighting Kolve Taroth, the siege beast. Anyway, that's it for that. What's going on with the 76 world right now?
Not much. So, because nothing's happening, they're just talking about what has happened and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we got a couple
And
of
conveniently...
articles.
And conveniently not mentioning any of the bad things.
Yeah. There was...
Sorry.
Well, let's talk about the bad thing briefly.
Okay.
Which was, there was a hack implemented where the hackers could get into people's inventories if they were within, like, render distance in adventure mode and steal items from players. This was up for, I think, less than a day it was active for. But there was some pre-warning about it. Bethesda got on it fairly quickly, but not quickly enough to stop it before it happened. Had to actually happen before they did anything. But yeah, it has been. There's still people I'm seeing on like Discord servers going, oh, is it safe to go back into 76? When it was just a day, it was like, I think the 22nd of December or something like that.
Yeah.
It occurred. And yeah, there was a hack for a little while. It's been dealt with now, but it's obviously a really bad hack. Yeah. Like, it's not just this person's giving themselves an advantage or this person's doing something wacky. It was, this person's screwing me over.
Yeah.
Kind of hack, which is very bad and shouldn't be done at all. The fact that it's
should not be a
possible
thing.
is obviously bad. But even worse is the fact that people are doing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, like, going to defend Bethesda and be like, oh no, they've done everything perfectly. No, it shouldn't be possible. But far worse are the people actually doing it. It's like being mugged and just complaining about the police not saving you. It's like, no, the mugger's the big bad person here. It would have been nice to have the cops be able to stop it, but no, if you're getting mugged, no, the mugger's the bad guy.
People... These are people that sound like they were the ones that would do it. I think would be people that play games that are designed to be grief fests, because there are games like that exist that are survival games.
Yeah,
and that's just another means of doing that. Is because in Rust you could do that. You could take everybody's things. That was part of the game. That was part of the meta. Whereas in 76, of course, you don't have that freedom, and with survival mode being removed, you don't really have that freedom at all to do that thing to that type of thing to another player.
Yeah.
So
76. Well, Nuclear Winter's designed as like the player versus player mode now.
Yeah.
And Adventure is designed as much more of a cooperative mode in general.
Yeah. And because of how battle royales work, it's a short duration, and you're playing for the win more so than the loot.
Yeah. You don't lose anything by failing in matches of Nuclear Winter.
Mm-hmm.
But in Adventure mode, if someone steals all your items, then you have lost something.
Yeah. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, if I were in the game and I had my unstoppable monster stolen, like, I would probably, like, be done.
Yeah.
Because the chance of getting another one, especially after the survival mode challenges are gone, like...
Which I'll be talking about later on.
Okay.
A little tease for everyone there.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, the look back on 2019 was about the things that they did well, as opposed to the things that...
It was the highlights.
That kept getting screwed up. But it was nothing really changed with the roller coaster, really. There was things that were good that happened, but there was a subsequent, like, something bad happens and then it drops back down.
Yeah.
And it's easier for a lot of people, even some of the diehard fans now, to focus on the negative, because there's just so much of it.
I mean, as human beings in general, focusing on the negative happens a lot more than focusing on the positive.
It's true, yeah.
Like, the news very rarely goes, hey, this good thing happens. No, it's always destruction, murder, and death.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. It gets more eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
They took a look back at, like, there was things like Meat Week, which was a very fun event with unique rewards and stuff. There's obviously the addition of Nuclear Winter, which we've mentioned, and we've played that before, and that was surprisingly fun for a mode that most of us thought was suicidal for Bethesda to do. It turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, I was very impressed and surprised that it was fun.
Yeah.
For one.
And I remember talking in this very PIPCAST saying, I really hope they're not going to do that. I don't think they should do that. And then they did it, and it turned out good.
Yep.
So, yeah, but they talked about like Wasted on Nukashine, which was a great little side quest that they added to the game, which added in brewing. Fastnacht they've got in here, which was fun, but despite the fact the rewards were very difficult to get. Talked about like the Halloween event, which was kind of nice, and just like general quality of life improvements, because I looked at some of my old footage the other day, and the game now, compared to how it was, is like 50 times better, just with all of these small improvements they've made over the past like 17, 18 patches odd. It has improved a lot, but obviously still a long way to go, so Wastelanders is still the thing most people are looking towards to see if it's going to be like make or break. But fortunately, with the latest article, they've told us about Watoga Underground, which is a non-functioning garage that's coming in Wastelanders. So, I mean, come on, everyone. What more could you possibly want than a garage?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think they just want to show like that there's actually content, but we already knew that.
Yeah.
But the main thing we don't know is if it works.
Yeah.
If it works as intended.
Wastelanders just needs to work. The stuff they've shown off is like, cool. NPCs, new locations, new quests, new events, new all of that stuff. That's all great. But when we boot up the game, will our characters suddenly delete themselves?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we need to know.
Will new mechanics or new things work in the way they're intended or in the worst possible way? Because that's what seems to happen, is if there's a question, it usually just goes to like, this is the worst, most catastrophic way it can be executed. Like the junk stash kind of thing, or the that was so bad.
I will say though, as a bit of a shameless plug, I am going to be covering Wastelanders like hardcore.
Yeah,
like I'll be fully giving all the news and info I possibly can on it when it releases and when we get a release date.
Yeah.
So if you do want to know about Wastelanders, do check out my channel, because that's like the thing I'm waiting for, basically.
Yeah, and I think
then
in the in the spirit of the new year, if you haven't jumped back into 76, because like I still enjoy playing it with friends, I still do. Me and Sarge do every so often still play together. But if you haven't given it a chance or haven't played it in a while, try jumping back in for a little bit, just to see like what's changed or what's improved, because there are improvements. It's just hard to see for all the negative press that's going on. And like I said, there's fun to be had there, and if exploration is your thing, man, there's a lot to explore in 76. The level design or world design is probably its biggest strength to me. Or even in general, because, well, for one, you don't have to worry about like mechanical stuff breaking most of the time, because you can just appreciate the landscape. If exploration's your jam, there's plenty to explore here.
Yeah. And if you do want to jump back in, next weekend is a double XP event.
Yes,
so you level up a bit faster, which is nice. Good
point. Yeah, double XP can get you up to par, kind of like the Monster Hunter World thing. Double XP can get you ready for Wastelanders whenever that decides to. When is that supposed to come out? May? March?
It's Q1 2020 it's scheduled at. The rumours online are February, but there's nothing completely solid on it yet.
Well, that's gotta be frustrating.
I'm gonna guess February 28th. That's my guess right now. I think it's gonna be late February. I was thinking like late February, early March, but with the rumours being February, let's go 28. Are there actually 28 days in February? Let me check that.
Yeah, pretty sure.
There's 29. Sweet. I got an entire day's clearance there.
You were close.
Yep. 28th is going to release on a Friday, a day when nothing ever releases. 28th of February. That's my bet. That's not when it's happening. That's when it's going to happen.
Okay. And I don't have I don't have a bet to be placed. So is that all you want to mention? I think we kind of covered both the 76 topics at the same time.
I mean, you did. Caedo, we've got bullet points whenever we do the PIPCAST, and Caedo's put in 76 a look back at 2019, fair enough, and he's put the second one, which is 76 inside the Vault Watoga Underground. There's nothing in that article other than the double XP weekend and them mentioning, hey, Watoga Underground exists.
That's okay.
It's like the worst inside the Vault there's ever been. There's so little information.
Kind of is, yeah. All right, so let's move on to the
something else that gives you so little information: reviews.
Video game reviews, yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, even though reviewers put numbers and scores to things, a lot of people only pay attention to that number. Whereas part of what their goal was, basically any journalist's goal is for people to actually read the context as to why it got that number, which is rare. People see headlines, they usually read headlines and don't read any further than that. That's just how we do it now. Which is frustrating. Yes, it's very frustrating because context is very important.
Yep. Well, we can give an immediate example of this. Caedo, Deep Rock Galactic, score out of 10.
Frick. All right. Are we AAA
Just
scoring
score out
or
of 10.
AA scoring?
No, just score out of 10. No context, please, Caedo. Just out of 10.
Yeah, it's 8.
Cool, I'm giving it a 6. And guess what? The game's the exact same, but Caedo and I enjoy it to different levels.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed in the game, but if you saw my review, you'd be like, oh man, the game sucks. You saw Caedo's review, you'd be like, oh, 8 out of 10, that's pretty good, I should try it.
Yeah.
Grrr.
It's all like, and it's all not objective, subjective. Man, I messed up that too. It's it's subjective. They're all pooling their own opinions of something to make an actual score. Where it will still tell you the consensus of these people, but also you still should probably figure it out for yourself if you're interested enough.
Yeah, and the actual news topic we're covering is IGN has basically talked about changing their review scale, which I'll let Caedo get into the technicals in a second. But I just want to say quickly that in the video they do mention like a few times that reviews are people's opinions, and although IGN tries to select people that they think are suitable for the game, like if someone's going to review Gears of War 5, you probably want to pick someone on the staff who's played the previous Gears of War games.
Yeah, and
Rather
other
than
cover-based shooters.
Jimmy Buffett. Wait, Jimmy Buffett's a real person. Damn, I can't make a fake name. Jimmy Genesis, who only likes platformers. You don't get him to play Gears of War 5 because you're not going to get a suitable review. But they try and make it like as sorted as they can, but it's always someone's opinion, and all of us have different opinions.
Yes.
The big game I actually noticed it for, because I was just checking release dates a second ago, is Fallout 4, which has such wildly different review scores based off of just like, first off, people enjoying different things, and secondly, of people not knowing what they want from the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, none of it matters. It's like got an average 4.6 out of 5 review on like Google, but there's tons of people in the comments being like, this game's a 1 out of 10 because it's not a true RPG, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
That's
Fallout 4 was a weird one. Because it was everybody, as far as I could tell, everyone was hyper focused on one particular aspect, and if it was an aspect that they loved, of course they reflected that. But a lot of the time it was aspects that people did not like, and that basically overshadowed everything else about the game that made it good. Like the dialogue was one, obviously.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of this voice protagonist. It was kind of this pseudo Mass Effect type dialogue system. Like, it's been done before, and like it was fine in Mass Effect, but the skill-based stuff, of course, kind of took a back seat because of how those were reworked, and charisma was the only thing that was really usable in that dialogue. And a lot of people just didn't like that outcome. But again, like that's not the only aspect of the game. There is the exploration, there's the verticality, there's the loot, there's the crafting, there's the settlement system, like there's the improved combat. Oh my goodness, the improved combat. Like, well,
then you've got the point of, do you base it as its own thing, or do you compare it to previous games when giving your score?
Yeah, and
which
it depends on who you are at that point too, because if it's somebody who loves the classics, then they're going to compare it to what they love the most, which is there's not really a comparison there. So they simply don't like it.
Yeah, and it's not like they're comparing, oh, how has the combat improved? Because it's not a one-to-one comparison if you're taking it from, like, the original Fallout to Fallout 4. But if you're going from, like, 3 to New Vegas to Fallout 4, well, combat's improved tons, so surely it's a hugely better game. But then they're like, oh no, I don't care about combat, I only care about these things. It's like, well, it's...
Yeah.
I hate
reviews. Reviews are all over the place, like we said. But I think we should go into the actual
Yes.
The actual thing that...
Apologies. Caedo, just talk about the actual news.
Started.
I'm going to be quiet for a minute.
So IGN is changing their scale. They're removing the decimal points. For a while, they had a 100-point score system. That wasn't really conveying what they wanted it to. So instead, they moved it to a 20-point system, and now they finally, after being a 10-point system but having decimals, they're removing the decimals entirely. So now it's going to be a solid number. I think they're going to be more deliberate in the scores that they give to using 4s, 5s, and 6s, I hope, for scoring games, instead of a lot of the scores being 6 or higher.
10 out of 10.
Which, okay. Yeah. Which is something that you see fairly often in interviews, where they ignore the lower half of the scale for most of the time.
They do kind of bring up in their little video talking about it, which will be linked in the description if you want to check it out yourself. They do mention that, like, the bottom 4 or 5 scores are essentially just degrees of, oh, the game is bad.
Yeah.
Which means you don't see them as often. But they have assigned, like, a name to each number, which I do like. Like, 5 is mediocre, I think 3 or 4 is bad, one of the two. And then, like, 8 is a great game, and 10 they've put as masterpiece. And I kind of like the 10 being masterpiece, but it only works if people actually look at 10 out of 10 and go, oh, that's a masterpiece, rather than, oh, it's a perfect game, because no game is perfect,
right.
Which means no game would be a 10 out of 10 as in a 100% perfect made game.
Right.
But that means you kind of have to look into it more than just the number. Yeah.
There is still the grading system, especially in the US and other countries who use the grading system. I don't know if any other countries do, to be honest. But in school, the A, B, C, D, F scoring system is all percentage based too.
Yeah.
And we're basically trained to know that as, 60%, 68% or lower is bad. So anything below 68%, at least that's what I kind of relate it to, is like not part of the actual scoring, because it's all bad after that point.
Okay, that kind of makes sense for why people are like 6 out of 10 is a terrible game.
Yeah.
And it's like 7's alright.
I think our school programmed us to do that. 9's great, 10's perfect. Yeah. But I think it might be slightly different in the UK, but we've definitely got something similar. Like, I'm guessing the percentages, because I swear I can't remember school properly, but I'm pretty sure, like, different subjects had different, like, pass percentages and things. Like, certain things you could get, like, 50% and get a C. Others you need to hit, like, 70% to get a C. Yeah.
But
let me double check the grading system here. Okay, so D- is 60, 62, F is 59 or lower. Wow. I feel like this is more generous. I think it's different based on state too. Oh great, that makes it even more complicated.
Oh dear, is it complicated?
Good. 65 or below. Okay, so 65-ish and below is bad. But even like the D's are considered bad. So
it looks like they've changed the grading system since I was in school.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I have a whole bunch that are all over the place, so I'm just gonna assume like 65-ish. Are you still
I'm leaving.
You're leaving?
I'm leaving both sides. There's a 1 to 9 system that now goes alongside like the U to A star system, which is
okay.
Weird. And it's different on every single thing I clicked on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I don't know why they just don't stick with the letters. It still work. They work well.
Yeah. I mean, we did have like a pass and fail stuff. I enjoy...
We have that on some things.
Yeah. I enjoy when reviewers, usually YouTubers, have more of a, what's his name? Carrick? I forgot his channel name. But he does a buy, wait for sale, or pass kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Which is definitely a more realistic scoring system. Because you're telling people, like, is this worth your time or is it not? Like, that's basically it. And criteria, the criteria is a lot better broken down in his videos too, I think. where it's, gameplay, soundtrack, systems, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I hope that IGN's systems change helps. While people don't will throw shade easily at gaming journalism and reviews and stuff like that, they still carry weight. When people see an actual number tagged on a game or something like that, that will affect their purchase. So that's why, they're choosing to change how they do things so they can be more straightforward with what they say about something, I guess.
The problem with reviews is often less the reviewer and more the person reading it.
Yeah, because people don't usually spend too much time beyond seeing the number. After speaking about the scoring of video games, we know one that probably scored a 10. I don't even remember. That's Skyrim. I sounded drunk when I said remember. But yeah, so Shirley Curry, the Skyrim grandma, if you're not familiar, she's a gem of the community for Skyrim. And some people took it upon themselves to create a follower mod of her in Skyrim. And it is currently in the works, and it's fully voiced, and I believe they're getting the sound bites from her Skyrim series on YouTube, specifically to make her character more believable and such. So I don't have too much to actually contribute to this topic besides just telling everybody that it's a thing, and the link to the subreddit, the developers of this mod. Their subreddit is down below in the description if you're interested in either helping them out in creating the most amazing Skyrim grandma mod ever, or just, watching and seeing what happens. So right now...
Are you a fan of her content?
I believe in what she's doing, but I don't... It's another Let's Play to me.
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't feel like I have time for, or would rather watch something. Yeah. Also, Skyrim fatigue.
Yeah,
I don't...
It's totally a thing.
I've seen too much of Skyrim already, and I'm saving my Skyrim energy for the next countdown I decide to do for Skyrim. Or the countdown that I decide to do. Probably more after that, because people eat it up, most likely. Because Skyrim's relevant all the time.
Yep. Give it another 30 years.
Blows my mind, dude. Blows my mind.
We'll be as old as Shirley Curry by the time Skyrim stops being
By that time, we'll have, the Elder Scrolls 7. And
Yeah.
that'll be the new Skyrim.
Wait, that's not even that big an ask.
been waiting
Caedo,
for-
we're not that old.
We've been waiting for 6 for a while. And we're going to be waiting for
That
6 for a
long.
while still.
It'll be a bit over a decade.
Yeah.
So even if it's a decade between each game, you're 30 something.
32.
And I'm 20. Yeah, and I'm 20 something.
20 something.
Yeah.
You don't know how old you are?
It changes every year. It's too hard to keep up. Yeah. We'll be at least at Elder Scrolls 10. Minimum. By the time we're at,
the best one.
grandparent age.
But the best one will be... Right?
Well,
not the latest
I hear
one.
lots of people say that Skyrim isn't the best. Lots of people talking about how Morrowind's all great and amazing.
Right.
But how popular actually is it?
But the general consensus, right?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because New Vegas...
I'll accept it even if you're wrong.
Because New Vegas is still, by consensus, people like that one the most.
Yeah, and that's why its sales numbers are so much higher than all of the other Fallout games, and totally not below
you're
them.
right. But Fallout 4 obviously is pretty high up there too.
I checked this over before 76 released, in my why 76 will be successful video, which tons of people did not get the point of. Still bugs me today. But yeah, I checked it out, and I think New Vegas did better than Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, but it's financially speaking, in terms of sales and stuff, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 knock it out of the water.
Yeah.
Although it's the one online where everyone Fallout New Vegas is the best game ever, for the general audience it didn't do as well as the main series ones, which makes sense, but I just wanted to cut that in there, just to kind of highlight the difference between financial success and a great game.
Yeah. because
It's like-
they are two different metrics, and
Yep, two completely different
you
things.
should probably pay attention to them.
Yeah.
All right, so they had an official roadmap for the Shirley follower mod too,
Oh, that's
which
good.
was stage 1 is the follower of the first stage, and the initial release will focus purely on making Shirley a unique and versatile follower. We plan to have all the main follower functionality in place for the release of this stage. The Shirley follower will be fully voiced and ready for adventure. This release will be purely technical and focus on nailing down the core follower framework. So basically just making an actual follower out of her.
Yeah.
Stage 2 will be the home. Focus on implementing the home for Shirley in-game. It will also see the addition of an introductory quest that will be required to complete in order to have Shirley as your follower. So this is more of the intricacies and story-oriented stuff. And then finally, stage 3, the adventure. The third and final stage will be released much further off in the future, but will introduce new quest line to your game centered around Shirley. We are very early into development, and as such, have yet to begin development of such a quest. So that one's going to be the big step, if they stick with it for that long, which, you know, I worry about sometimes for these kinds of ambitious mods, because everybody has their ambitious projects, but it's whether or not they follow through and complete all of their tasks is a whole another thing entirely.
Oh yes.
But I also want to mention that Shirley Curry is already going to be in the Elder Scrolls 6. Like that's already happened. She did the face capture and all that stuff, I believe, already in Bethesda Studios. So like she's going to be an NPC no matter what. And because she is such a positive force in the community, I recommend you guys check her out anyway. Despite me not watching her Let's Play content because I'm Let's Played out.
Yeah. I watched the first bit of Shirley's content I ever watched earlier today, and I was like, oh, this isn't for me.
But if you have stuff that you like to listen to, like passively, easygoing listening, stuff like that, she's a very good one of those.
Yeah, her content appears to be very relaxed Let's Play stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, she's not charging through the game trying to one-shot a billion ebony warriors or anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, hello, companion, I'm gonna have a little chat with you now. Oh, let's go up here, there's a little cave, let's see what that's like.
Yeah. It's nice. It's pleasant. It's like grandma telling you a story.
It does make me feel slightly like I'm in some weird internment camp trying to be brainwashed, to be honest. Once again, very nice lady. I don't want anything bad said against her in this, but I was kind of like, I feel like if someone was trying to brainwash me, they'd probably try and get Shirley in to just read some lines and do it that way.
It'd probably be effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, check out the mod if you're interested. It's not really my thing, but I'm glad the community's doing something good with one of their good members.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, our final topic, the Amazon. They have a development studio now. Their New World MMO is on our radar, or on my radar.
I should point out, the game is called New World.
The game is called New World, yes.
It kind of sounds like, oh, they're New World MMO. You know, world MMOs. That genre of game. So the game is called New World, and it's an MMO, a massive multiplayer online game.
Yes.
So, just to clarify that.
Thank you. I probably would have just breezed past that.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know what to feel about it yet. All we got during the Game Awards was a cool trailer. But cool trailers hide a lot of things. Like what the game actually is. I got to go to like their main site, and they have a dev diary up where they show a little bit more about some like little snippets, half seconds of gameplay where it's just the third person camera and the character moving. And also screen caps and concept art of the world itself. The world looks beautiful. But of course that can't be the only aspect of the game to make it good. Because like I haven't seen anything about the systems, how the action looks, like how that side of things. But it takes place in a kind of, it's called New World because you're part of a group that's discovering a new continent.
Well, you're part of a New World, Caedo.
That's the the premise is discovering a new continent.
Yeah, well, the New World is where you are. Like, I'm from the whole old world area, and then my people went over, discovered the new world, and then they became your people.
Yes.
So I'm kind of expecting it to focus on that kind of stuff, especially with kind of the time era it looks like it's set in. So I had like a fancy flintlock pistol shooting a Roman centurion who's a zombie.
Yes.
Of course. Should just briefly mention that.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, okay, this could be kind of during that whole time period of the whole European people going over the world and going, oh, let's kill all the natives and just take it over.
Yeah.
It seems like that sort of thing. Except this time the natives are crazy, red-eyed vampire demons.
Yeah, it's got a different spin
Yep.
on, do you really want to claim this land? So many people have tried and gotten taken over. I'm keeping my eye on it because I am probably getting towards that, want to play an MMO. But again, the setting is what entices me, but I also want to see like what kind of gameplay we get after that point.
Yeah. I think it looks really cool, and I'm not going to play it. It's kind of where I'm sat at. Like,
Yeah.
I've got 76, which is the game which, like, constantly updates for me. I don't need another big game.
Yeah.
And with it not instantly looking like the greatest thing that's ever been created, I just don't have enough interest to be like, oh yeah, I gotta play this game. It's like, no, I liked the trailer. I'll be interested to hear more about it. Hopefully, one of the YouTubers I watch will give it some coverage or a first look or something. I'll get to see a bit of it, but that's as far as my interest will go.
Yeah, just something to keep an eye on. And with that, I wanted to, a little more quickly, I guess, move on to the Fallout topic, because we're already an hour or so in, and I want to edit less. That's how I feel today. So, what's our Fallout topic, Sarge? We mentioned it a little bit, but...
Crafting!
Yeah! Thanks for coming by, everybody! It's about how crafting has been implemented and how far it's gone in the Fallout franchise as a whole. Because in... should we start from the beginning, I guess?
Let's say, yeah, start from the beginning. There's not, like, a ton to cover in the beginning.
There's not. So in the first game, there was no first-person player crafting per se. There was a repair skill that you use contextually in, like, quest-based scenarios, but there was no customizable gear or gear you could choose to make by finding, schematics and whatnot. So, but also there was NPCs in Fallout 1 and 2 that you could go to with a particular weapon and be like, hey, can you upgrade this for me? And they're like, yeah, bring me this thing, and I will upgrade your weapon and make it an improved version of itself. So there was very minimal upgrading and crafting in Fallout 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Fallout 3, or Fallout, no, it's not Fallout 3, sorry. Fallout Tactics didn't really have any, unless you count vehicle repair.
Yeah, there wasn't a proper anything really close to what you'd be able to confidently call a crafting system until Fallout 3, I guess, with the schematics.
Yes.
Where you could make your shish kebab go.
Yeah.
What's the shish kebab? Was it? Yeah.
And the overpowered dart gun, and
Oh, jeez, dart gun.
Back
when Deathclaws was strong as well, you actually needed a dart gun.
Yeah. Well, the explosives you could craft were strong as well. Strong enough to take out Deathclaws.
I mean, the craftable stuff in Fallout 3 did a good job of making sure it was all actually worth crafting. Because it was often made up of stuff that you had no other reason to pick up.
Yeah.
Like, for the shish kebab, you need, like, a motorcycle gas tank, which weighs, like, 5 pounds or something and has, like, a value of 15, I think. And has no other real uses. It's like, you only pick that up for crafting the shish kebab. Otherwise, it's dead weight.
Yeah.
So, it did a good job of making otherwise useless stuff that was just kind of there for the world to exist, to make it more realistic, actually have some mild use, which is cool.
Yeah. And what else? Was there anything else besides the schematics that were craftable?
Not in 3, I don't think.
Mole Rat Wonder Meat.
Just that.
You remember that?
I don't.
It was one of the outskirts subways there was this mole rat infested subway, and it had a Wonder Meat maker where you combine mole rat meat and Wonder Glue, and you could make mole rat Wonder Meat.
Excellent.
So there was that.
I need to play more Fallout 3.
Yeah.
I need to play more Fallout 3.
This one was only a little ways west from Megaton. I remember specifically, not far from Evergreen Mills. I think it's wherever the metro tunnel closest to Evergreen Mills, I believe. But
Fallout 3 really is the modern Fallout I have not spent enough time in.
I feel like I need to jump in soon enough too. Once the New Vegas countdowns are done, like that's where it's moving to with the staple ones.
Yeah. Well, speaking of New Vegas, the crafting in that got a bit of a bump up.
Definitely.
Instead of there just being one crafting table, there was suddenly like 3.
A bazillion. There
Three
was
different types.
Weapon repairing started in Fallout 3 too, but in New Vegas, weapon repairing got more specific. It had a threshold, which was nice. That was one of my favorite aspects of upkeeping gear. But New Vegas also came with the survival skill that got re-implemented. I think kind of re-implemented and or replaced the outdoorsman skill in the first games.
Yeah. Works in basically a completely different way though.
Yeah.
Because of how different the games are.
Yeah, it was more...
like, imagine if survival reduced encounters in a modern Fallout
that'd
game.
be great.
It'd be so weird, because especially first time getting into the game, maybe on your first playthrough you have, like, put nothing into survival and you constantly are getting attacked. And the next playthrough you're like, oh, let's try going to 100 survival, and there's nothing anywhere.
You don't get experience at all.
Yeah.
Or worse, like a dialogue box pops up every time you see an enemy.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to fight it? And if not,
like,
it just disappears.
Just imagine, like, Powder Gang just run towards you like, you're gonna die! Survival check. Oh, you've passed. Powder Gunner just turns around and slowly walks away.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, so the survival skill in New Vegas is all pretty much, like, cooking stuff based.
Yeah.
It has way more detail to it than I'm pretty sure anybody really uses.
Yeah, you don't need to use that much of it.
No, you don't. During the first tutorial, Sunny Smiles teaches you how to make healing powder, which is actually one of the worst healing items in the game.
Yep.
And then shortly after that, even before, like when you're in Doc Mitchell's place, you get stim packs. Like you're not hurting for for healing items by the time you get to that point. If you decide to even try the tutorial. But the other you can tan hides, which eventually becomes more of a thing, and making new chems becomes more of a thing. In the Honest Hearts expansion, they add a lot more to it in that aspect. But vanilla, the survival skill didn't really have too much importance with the actual...
No. I mean, in hardcore mode, it was useful, but even then, it wasn't essential.
It wasn't essential, no. I maxed it out. I think I maxed it out in my Buckaroo playthrough and still barely used it.
Yeah.
Which...
I've tried to focus on it a few times, and it's just like, oh no, I don't need it.
And
I don't need
because he was a cowboy too, he was subsisting on tobacco and whiskey most of the time too. So
yeah,
which you could find as is.
Yep.
So yeah, the survival skill was a thing, but also repair affected a lot more in Fallout New Vegas than just keeping your weapons and armor in one piece.
Yeah.
Which had to do with the ammunition, the ammo types crafting.
The ammo crafting was a really cool idea, but I don't think it was actually that good as it was, because think about how often you actually crafted ammo.
Yeah.
It was so rare, because you needed a whole bunch of specific stuff where it wasn't very common just out and about in the world. Generally how you got all the different like cases, bullet cases and gunpowder and stuff was by breaking down other ammo you had.
Yeah.
And it's not like the game was so light on ammo that you were always running out of ammo for the weapons you enjoyed. You generally had enough to get by, sometimes you'd want a bit more, but it wasn't needed.
Yeah.
Even though it was cool.
The raw components too, were very particular in where you found them. Like the powder, for example, would be mostly from vendors, which kind of made it difficult because you couldn't. I don't think you could make the powder yourself. I think you actually had to get it from somewhere.
Yeah.
The casings you could get from vendors too, but the casings would also come from ammo being expended. Like, you would pick up casings every so often and have those, but you would still have to get the powder yourself. And what's the other? I forget the other.
It was like primer or something.
Primers, yeah.
Was it primer? Yeah, because then you had like pistol primer and large bullet primer.
Yeah.
Very specific things as well. It wasn't just one generic.
It should have been more general or one generic.
Yeah. And the fact that you often had to like buy some of these ingredients you had to break down and you maybe had to find some stuff just meant, well, why not buy the ammo instead? You're already buying something.
Yeah.
Save yourself like an hour's worth of foraging around and going through menus and spend like 50 caps more to get the same result. It was cool. I tried junk rounds out a lot of times, but it's like you generally don't want to put bad bullets into your guns, because you don't need to, because ammo's plentiful enough to get by.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was a nice idea, and I like all the different ammo types and stuff that you could make, but it didn't work as well as I'm sure Obsidian wanted it to.
Yeah. The workbench, if we wanted to move on to the workbench, the ammo was okay, but the workbench was the thing that really got reworked, as it were, because science and repair, and I believe explosives, I think that's it, were all kind of all encompassed in the workbench. You could make medicine as well. You could make stim packs. You could make explosives. Make repair kits for your weapons. Like, there was all kinds of cool stuff that you could make in the weapons workbench, or the workbench. And I think that's where the crafting grew. I think there wasn't as many custom. I'd say custom, but the craftable weapons as there were in 3.
3 was almost like the craftable stuff were almost like semi-uniques.
Yeah.
Whereas in New Vegas, it was just kind of like, you can make some cool stuff, here's a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
And you don't need like schematics and stuff for it like you did in 3. It was kind of more simplified, I guess. But the things you could yield were a bit more generic.
Yeah. It's do you have the knowledge for this instead of having to get schematics. And 3, it didn't make any sense anyway. Like, you get multiple schematics, you can make that many with one set of parts. Like, it didn't make any sense. Whereas, in New Vegas, it was more like, it's the same amount of parts, and then, if your skill improves even further, then you can learn how to make the same but with less materials. And that was strictly based on learning instead of having 2 of the same schematic. It's just silly. I think the Mad Bomber added a less expensive to make bottle cap mine, which I took advantage of, I think, because bottle cap mines are still like really fun.
Yeah.
But Mad Bomber perk is fun in general, but like, if you start using the microfusion cell clusters too, that's like one of the strongest thrown explosives in the game, because it just carpet bombs when you throw it. And it's amazing. What other... Were there, like, contextual crafting things in New Vegas? Nothing comes to mind right now.
There's nothing that jumps up for me. I mean, like, I can't remember the name of it. The Sierra Madre DLC had, like, just basically an alternate skin to a crafting station and added in a few items. Like, the DLC's added in some items that you could previous to craft at the crafting benches, but that was about it.
Yeah, the hollow vendor thing, too. But that was more just a vending machine.
That's literally a vending machine.
But you had to collect the holotapes to be able to get those things.
But that's definitely not crafting.
No. It would craft it for you.
Yes. It's like going up to a vendor and going, "Oh, look at this amazing thing. If it's crafted, I shall now buy it with money."
Yeah.
obviously, the game that made crafting really big for Fallout, though, is Fallout 4.
Yes.
Where you have just a ton of workbenches. Just tons of them. As well as cooking up various foods, which actually matters if you play survival mode in Fallout 4. Because food is suddenly way more important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in slightly shorter supply in like the canned and easy to pick variety. Although plants and stuff you can get a fair few of, but they've got rads, which have a different effect and are kind of worse in survival mode in 4. But there was obviously modifying weapons. The whole junk system that went into modifying your weapons and armour was like a key component of the game. And lots of people talk about like the kind of the cycle in Fallout 4 of shoot bad guys, loot junk, improve guns, shoot bigger bad guys, loot better junk, improve guns, so on and so forth. It really became a key part of the game.
Yeah. The options became the options for crafting weapons and armor. Thankfully, armor was craftable and modifiable, but weapons themselves were more like you find it and then you modify it, kind of thing.
Unless you go for the contraption. Was it contraptions? No, the manufacturing DLC thing.
Oh yeah, that is contraptions.
You could then craft weapons of your own if you had gun nut and stuff.
Oh really? I didn't even...
Yeah, it's something I had only recently been looking into. My last survival mode playthrough, I had like all of my built stuff. But yeah, you can craft tons of stuff with the machines there.
Yeah, sadly, Fallout 4 VR doesn't have the DLCs involved.
Oh yeah.
So I wasn't playing around with that yet for ages. Since my Fallout 4 playthrough, I haven't played the regular version of Fallout 4 for I don't know, a few years. But
it's a long time.
Yeah. But I will say that the biggest aspect that changed, I think, at least to me, is that all junk items contain components.
Yep.
All of them.
Like so, every single bit of junk you come across is
everything had a use, and that was like one of its big selling points when it was announced too, and I really enjoy that part.
Yeah.
But if you're also a pack rat type person when playing a game like this, that means you're going to be grabbing everything because it all has a use.
Yep.
So that kind of extends the gameplay for you as well, or extends your gameplay time.
Yeah. I'm sure all of us at one point or another have like been 1,000 points over carry capacity, trying to lug around 20 death vans and crawl our way back to the closest settlement.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on who you are. Yeah. But I thought that part was awesome. What was a mild letdown was the very clear, like, this is the best upgrade for weapons.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people had in mind that you could say, well, whether it would or would not be functional, you could attach a minigun barrel to a rifle if you felt like it, but that wasn't the case at all.
No.
And people had to mod that in. So it was a lot more limited than we were expecting. So the progression is there, but once you hit the maximum of like, this is the absolute best, either armor piercing or full damage, like that's your meta.
Yeah.
The rest you don't have to worry about after that point, which was a bit of a letdown. But
also, that's partly plays into what people expect out of games before knowing anything about it.
It does.
Where expectations are always way too high.
Yeah.
Before a game comes out.
Yeah. However, the settlement system delivered for me. Like it did exactly what it was planning on doing, and then some. But then because it was such a main feature, they couldn't let it go with the DLCs. They kept adding more stuff with DLCs. I think they all contain something settlement related, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Every single... Well, I mean, half the DLCs were settlement based.
Yeah. Except for Far Harbor, maybe?
Oh no, Far Harbor it didn't add like anything huge, but it had
it contained
some
settlements.
Like Far Harbor themed items.
Yes, it had Far Harbor
like
themed
fishes
items,
on racks and things.
With the with Nuka World, the other big one, you were taking over settlements with raiders. Like that was like an inherent kind of thing with it if you decided to side with them.
Nuka World, crafting Nuka-Colas.
Oh yeah.
All the various types. I forgot that was even part of the crafting.
Good call, dude.
In Fallout 4,
I even did a video on those.
Man, that was a really cool little addition.
Yes.
Which I know a lot of people kind of wish was in Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Because that game has a
Like
very
me.
similar crafting... yeah. That game has like a very similar crafting mechanic system. I don't know quite. Crafting system to Fallout 4. Like a lot of the workbenches and stuff are the same. Obviously, it's kind of built up from Fallout 4. But there is one thing in particular that I love in 76 for crafting stuff that Fallout 4 didn't have. And with you talking about, oh, here's the best upgrade, this is obvious. The thing 76 did is you need to learn plans to craft things. And everything isn't already just, oh, get these ingredients, you've done it. Because, like, I can't remember who it was, but someone made the example ages ago of Fallout 4, when you go into, like, the cooking station, like, when Far Harbor first releases or something, you can go to the cooking station to see what new enemies will be up. Because it's like, oh, grilled angler meat. Oh, okay, there's going to be anglers in Far Harbor. All of that stuff was immediately unlocked. Whereas in 76, you have to find plans and recipes, or scrap down items, to learn new things to make them.
You have to actually play.
Which, yeah, it's a mild thing, but it makes crafting so much better.
Yeah, it does.
Because you're not instantly a master craftsman who knows how to make literally everything and just needs to find the correct amount of steel. It's like, no, you actually have to learn it.
Yeah, I would say it took both of the I guess both aspects of 3 and New Vegas's. Whereas 3 was just, you need the schematics, and New Vegas, you have to have the skill, and just combine them.
Yeah.
So you have to have the skill and the plans to actually make the thing that you want to make.
Yeah.
What does concern me, though, is how bloated the amount of plans are getting in 76.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if they just keep adding more and don't scale anything down, it's going to be both overwhelming for the developers to consider them and everything, which is an insane amount of work if they have to change something. Like, I can only imagine how long it took them to have or set up the learned system for saying whether or not
all of the mods for something,
all the mods for something or all the plans for something, because they had to implement that later. Maybe that was planned from the beginning, but it just took them that long. Like, and if they have to make another dramatic change like that, it's going to take even longer because they added more. Like, that's the only thing I worry about so much is there's a reason why things get streamlined or scaled down, because it can become extremely overwhelming both to like players and the developers at the same time. That's why I think some of the things in Fallout 4 in particular too were scaled back, and not everybody was happy with it, but it was leaving room for other things to be better. I don't know, that was a side tangent.
Also, I think 76 has done crafting the best.
Yeah.
Because it does kind of combine, like you say, 3, New Vegas, and 4, like, kind of the best parts out of all of them, to make a crafting system which works really well. And so much of that game is just crafting, and building a camp, and building other stuff, building guns, improving guns, crafting chems, using those chems to gather the ingredients to craft other chems, and there's different perks you need for different recipes and plans and things, and it's really well done. Like, that is definitely a big strength of 76, which it also helps with progression, because you're learning new stuff as you play, and I know for me personally, a large reason for me to play is to unlock new plans and new recipes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I care about, like, buying in the game nowadays.
Or those sneaky recipes that neither of us knew were even in the game, and then one of us gets it, like you did during your stream.
Yep. I unlocked, like, that was the Deathclaw Gauntlet Extra Claw.
No, the Sacrificial Blade.
Oh, which one? Oh, the Sacrificial Blade. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've had a couple, actually, now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, turns out. Yeah, there's been a few. Like, the Deathclaw Gauntlet, I know for a while you couldn't unlock the plan for the extra
It had
claw,
to be
but
shadow
I got that in a
added or
recent
something.
one. Yeah. And then the Sacrificial Blade, I've been carrying mods around for that since, like, the start of the game.
Yeah, same.
Because nobody was able to craft it. You had to find the mods yourself, and then I unlocked the plan to be able to craft it, and it's like, wow, didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
But
and
that's pretty badass.
the heating coil on the Power Fist, Like, it took me
got 10
so
fists.
long to get one. But then
I distinctly remember crafting you like 20 power fists or something to scrap down. You going, learned nothing.
yeah, and it takes so many resources to craft and scrap, too.
Yeah. So you do junk runs just to craft like 20 guns or whatever to break them down to learn one mod.
Yeah.
Just randomly.
That was frustrating. That random factor is a little upsetting, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I will say it's not so bad now that you can actually check how many mods you've unlocked. Back when we didn't know, before the patch came in which told us, we didn't know if anything was left to unlock. You could have unlocked every single crafting option for a gun, but still end up crafting it like a dozen times to try and break it down to learn something new that didn't exist, which was a nightmare.
Wait, how do you check, by the way?
It just has it when you go into like the crafting menu. It's got it on the display. It will be like mods unlocked, 13 out of 14 or whatever.
Ooh. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it tells you straight up. It's just really
It's
nice
been a while
and simple.
since I've actually looked at the crafting menu.
Yeah,
Well, that's good.
which it means if you're serious about learning new things. Although plenty of the mods are still like ridiculously difficult to unlock. Like I know for the pipe weapons, I think it is like the critical .38 receive of the pipe bolt action gun is like 0.0000001% chance of unlocking it when you scrap it or something.
Oh my god.
So you may as well just buy it from a vendor instead.
No kidding.
Which is what I did. Yeah, there's like a couple of 100 caps to unlock, or 50 million pipe pistols broken down.
Wow.
Like, ridiculous. Yeah. The chance to unlock things, it'd be nice if you had more of a idea for it.
Or
But,
the luck stat had an effect.
well, people have said stuff about intelligence and luck having effects, or not having effects, and so much of it doesn't have proof.
That's all rumor.
Hence, yeah, the time... Do you remember me making the video, Intelligence Affects XP game?
Yeah, you mentioned that to me, but I don't know. You should mention it to the people listening.
Yeah, a little while ago, like several months back now, I made a video which was literally mentioning that intelligence affects the XP gain, because someone in my comments had been like, oh, intelligence affects XP, go check it out, and I did, and it was like, oh yeah, I recorded footage of me with like 5 intelligence, and I got like 14 XP for killing a basic Scorched. Then I recorded myself with like 7 intelligence, and I got like 18 XP for killing a basic Scorched. I was like, wow, the game never tells you this, and everyone's saying that intelligence doesn't affect XP. But it does, and it's very easy to check.
Yep.
And god, there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah. There's things... Ah, man. Even in 4, I think, there were things that weren't just explicitly stated at all. They were just there.
Yeah.
And then
There's so much rumours as well.
leaving us... Yeah, that too. Leaving us to learn and figure them out for ourselves.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff as well is baseless rumours, and others are just things that can't really be confirmed. Like, the legendary system in 76 is completely random. I've made another video about that.
Yep.
Just the legendary system is broken, here's how to fix it. With, it's got maths in it, because it's great fun and everyone loves numbers.
Yep.
And just like, the probability of getting everything based off of everything being equal weight, which may not be the case. Then you've got other people saying, oh, if you've got a higher luck stat, you get better legendaries. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. But lots of people believe it, and it's like, it could technically be true, but it's impossible to actually tell because legendary systems are random. So it's like, how do you know? There's no actual way to test this.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's real. And you're like, you don't have any proof, you're just saying it's real. Ah!
Yeah. And that begs the question, like, is the game itself, an online game, measuring the legendary enemy spawns, based on you? Or based on other players in the area? So, like, that whole thing adds a new question.
Yeah. And I'm betting that it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm betting that it's so random.
I'm gonna bet it
because
doesn't.
a lot of 76 is RNG, and why would they program it in to be that complicated?
Yep.
They wouldn't.
Yep.
They just, let's just roll a dice for everything.
Yep. Here's a pool of things that can happen.
Yep.
The pool just happens to be massive. Yeah.
There's only like 346,000 different legendaries. It's barely any.
It hasn't reached a bazillion, though.
high.
Not yet.
No, but Wastelanders is going to bring in new weapons and armor and stuff, which all are going to have different legendaries. And if they bring in like 4-star and 5-star legendaries, that's a whole bunch of other modifiers, we can easily get to over 1 million different legendary, each being different, just with 4-star and 5-star added, if there's like
Yeah.
about 5 effects for each.
or legendary modifications, like the
well, different
sacrificial
permutations of different things. Oh god, there's that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that actually counts as a new star anymore.
Oh yeah, I think they did patch that out, huh?
Yeah, because I checked my machete a little while ago. It doesn't have a fancy star.
Yeah, but that would be cool.
Yep.
Or just swapping out legendary effects, like add a level of customization.
Oh, you mean like I mentioned in my "The Legendary System is Broken, here's how to fix it" video?
Yes, like you said in your
Bethesda,
video.
watch that video, please.
Please watch that, Bethesda.
Yeah.
They need to take a page from Borderlands 3 and Borderlands in general.
Oh, you mean like I mentioned in my video?
A little bit more, yeah. Like you mentioned in your video before.
Hey, everyone watching, go just type into YouTube "The Legendary System is Broken, here's how to fix it," and my video should pop up. And I feel really bad saying this, but it's a really good video. Like, I did tons of research, I did intelligent stuff like numbers, yeah, and I also suggested like different games that have good loot systems in them to different degrees and how they could be implemented into this game. And I even did some mock-ups and stuff.
I was gonna mention this horse I am beating is very dead. We've talked about this several times, even on here.
We have. We're supposed to be talking about crafting right now.
Yeah.
We're done with that. We just got.
Yeah, I mean that's still an aspect of crafting. Like add it as an option to legendary crafting too. But yeah, I think
that is not in the game yet.
I think the topic's basically done. We want to see, like, in the future. Let's end with that, I guess. Would like to see a simplification of some of the stuff and then additions of others. I know that's kind of vague, but for example, if you have 15 to 20 different power armor mods for each individual piece, like that is over 100, right?
That's too many.
That's over 100 just for power armor. I would like to see that itself simplified a little bit. Like what is used more by players. Like options are good, but like what is useful to players as opposed to what is completely useless and wouldn't be missed. Like,
I think I agree with you on that.
In the game at all.
Future Fallout 5 I'd like it to have a similar crafting system to 76, but like you say with the options, instead of it being like a critical receiver, a hasty receiver, a heavy receiver, a light receiver, which all do terrible damage, or just hardened, which does the good damage and everyone uses because of that. Have there be like a hardened, have there be a receiver which does like better damage to certain things and worse to others, have a receiver which does different types of ammo, that kind of stuff. Don't worry about all the garbage in between ones. Like maybe have a few ranks for each instead, rather than just 20 worthless objects and then one or two which are actually good.
Yeah.
Reduce the overall numbers, make them more distinct to each other.
Yeah. For scalability's sake, like I understand, but the things in the middle, there's too many.
There's so many worthless ones right at the start as well. Like Fallout 4 is the obvious one for me, where you skip over like the first 3 or 4 upgrades on every gun basically straight away.
Yeah.
It's not needed.
Yeah. That's what I want to see. I want to see a little more simplification in the things that are necessary for playing the game and just getting rid of the things that aren't, or that don't really help either way.
Cut the fluff and make it buff.
Yeah. Hey, that's cool. That's a cool way to say it.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Let's go with it.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments about the crafting systems in the previous games, like what you preferred, what you'd like to see in the future, and that kind of thing. And now we move on to what are you in the comment section. Hey, what are you playing? What are you playing right now? I'm sure you're playing something while you're listening, or doing something while you're listening to this podcast. What are you doing? Hey.
No, they're all just sat next to me, just staring intently, not blinking.
Because that's our next focused little topic. Sarge, what are you playing / working on / doing? I know you're taking a break, so.
Taking a break, yeah. I had a video up yesterday, which was called I'm Taking a Break, because I'm taking like a week or 2 away from YouTube, so I'm going to be doing lots of real life stuff, because I got lots of that to get on with, which means not as much time for gaming, unfortunately, as I would like. But I mentioned earlier I'd like to play Fallout 3. I'm trying to remember, there was something else I mentioned earlier, where I was like, I'll talk about that later, and I can't remember what it is now. I feel really bad because I was going to mention it at this point. What was it, Caedo?
Which?
I can't remember. I mentioned it at some point. I was like, I poked my head in and I was like, oh, tease for later. and I've forgotten what the tease was. We've forgotten it completely.
It's gone.
I blue-balled the audience. I'm so sorry.
It's gone.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, I'm probably not going to be playing that many video games, and I'm not going to be working on much. I think when we go to record the next PIPCAST will be like the end of my break, so then I'll be getting on with stuff. Oh, I remember what it was. I was going to talk about videos, because yeah, I do have some videos scheduled for whilst I'm away though, including, I remember what it was, we talked about like weekly weapons and stuff. I've actually got a video coming out. It probably won't. It's probably going to be out the same time as the next episode of the PIPCAST, actually, about bringing back weekly weapons. I made a whole video about that.
Oh.
Talked about it. Yeah, that's a little sneak peek for anyone who's made it to this point in the PIPCAST. That's some upcoming things. I've also got an upcoming video in a couple of weeks' time of 5 games I want remastered this decade.
Ooh.
Which I enjoyed making.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, I got a couple of fun videos whilst I'm away coming out. And I've had a whole bunch of other stuff go up on the channel over the past month and whatever, because December's crazy. So if you want to check out only my content, youtube.com/BADCompanySarge. Did I mention last time that I played Fallout and Wasteland 2? I might have.
That
but
you
either
were,
way.
yeah, that you had those 2 videos coming out.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I posted those 2 videos on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And yeah, those
were fun.
Fancy seeing those games. I know Caedo enjoyed. So, yeah.
You were great at Fallout 1, hot garbage with Wasteland 2.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do so well in Fallout 1, but I accidentally made like a really good build.
Yeah.
Like, it was solid as solid gets. Like, I'm used to at the start of Fallout and Fallout 2 just doing really badly and just kind of fully struggle bussing it. But this time I just kind of was like, I did watch your guides, Caedo, beforehand, and I was like, oh yeah, I half remember what Caedo was on about. I can get rid of this stat, I can add some more into that, now let's just wing the rest of it. And it just went perfect.
It was a superb min-max build. Like,
yeah, I did so well. But then Wasteland 2, I specifically built myself as a toaster repairman. I was like, no, we're not having a repeat of yesterday. We're gonna make sure I'm terrible.
We're gonna make it horrible.
But I made sure to have a fairly well balanced rest of my team. I had a medic, a sniper, and a bruiser. I was like, perfect, that's gonna go fine. Guess which one died first? Only person who can revive anyone. Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. In Wasteland 2, I do want to mention, this is a little pro tip, really quick. Have a dedicated medic, which is your, surgeon and medical first aid? There's surgeon and first aid, right? I should know this.
Something like that. It begins with an S, a surgeon makes sense.
Have a dedicated surgeon, medic, that both, and then have another character in your team that has high mobility that also has surgeon to revive them if they go down.
Because you need a certain level of the surgeon skill in order to pick someone up. And if you don't have that, you just have to slowly wait and watch as they bleed out.
Yeah. Or watch them disintegrate, depending on, what your enemy is using.
Yeah. I mean, no one right at the very start of the game can disintegrate you. You have to be at least good enough to make it through, like, the first 10 minutes.
I suppose you're right.
Yeah, which I was not. But Caedo, what have you been working on?
Well, as I had mentioned before when we were talking about The Witcher, I finally made my first Witcher 3 video on my channel. This is a channel first and first of the decade. Wow. I didn't think of it that way, but now I am. So depending on how that does will kind of determine like what I do from here, because I've been doing a lot more like quality, but also specific videos over quantity, and it's paying off. So that's kind of the plan, is doing more of the countdown, like things I wish I knew type format videos, because list videos just do well. It's stupid. But I'm kind of, settling into my own, or what I'm most comfortable with. It's not really my own. It's a format that's been around forever.
Yep.
But I'm getting used to it. I'm getting into a groove to where I can, make them consistently every other week. So that's what I'm actually working on. As to what I'm playing, obviously it's been The Witcher 3, a lot of it. The New Vegas melee weapons, I have been recording some for that, like right before I started watching the Witcher series, and then I switched over. So the melee weapons for New Vegas, the top most powerful is the next New Vegas list that I'm working on. And I've been playing Monster Hunter World with Nelsar and Kite, because we've been getting getting back into it to prepare for Iceborne. So that's pretty much it. I think nothing really. Been getting out of my slump too, which is nice.
Oh, that's good.
And my mommy came to visit. That was cool. Yeah. But I got her to play
that
VR
during the stream time as well.
You
were expecting her. I remember that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The reason for the stream going down early though was because of the power company showing up at our door.
Yeah.
Which was stupid. But also necessary, I suppose. But yeah, that's it. So goals. What goals do we have for 2020? I wasn't really even ready for this, but those of you
careful when I put it down.
Those of you in the comments, what are your goals? What are you prepped for? What are you prepping for the new decade, new year? I'm just planning on sticking with what works myself.
Yeah, I think for both of us, just being able to do YouTube full time is kind of our goal.
Yeah,
because we both started our most recent full timing on YouTube semi-recently, so it's just being able to carry on with this is a big goal.
Yeah, I would say like 100,000 subscribers, but I'm easily going to meet that in the next month because I hit 99,000. Yeah. So
yeah, my next subscriber goal is 25k as well,
yeah.
Which is like just 2,000 off, which if I don't hit that in 2020, that's a serious problem.
Yeah, that means you got to change stuff up real good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically all I had. We will see. We'll find out what that rascal Caedo is up to.
What you should do right now is to click the like button and share this podcast with anyone you know who might be interested in hearing two guys talk about video games. Because we're always looking for more people to be listening to this, or you can just share our channels in general. If you don't know people who are into the longer form content, maybe find your favourite video that Caedo or I made, send it to people you like, post it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, let people know, hey, I like this channel, maybe you should check them out. That'll be a good thing you can do to start the decade off, a nice gesture to both of us, helps us out, helps us keep making content, and hopefully makes you feel good too, because doing good things makes you feel good.
Yes.
Anyhow, that is going to be it for the PIPCAST 3000. Make sure you're subscribed to Caedo if you've made it all the way through this, and consider subscribing to my channel if your ears aren't bleeding from listening to my voice. As always, we want to thank you very much for watching. Caedo and Sarge.
Woo! Hey, I just noticed something. There's actually like mold growing on my water bottle.
That's disgusting.